would like to welcome Mr. Dipankar Das to this, and I'll thank you, Mr. Das, for having agreed to take these contact sessions and offer your expertise to the students here. He has been, of course, an old hand with us, has taken these sessions earlier also. So you are very much well versed with everything. So that's the advantage of you repeating this course. Mr. Dipankar Das, of course, started off several decades ago. So his initial education was more in history, and then right up to the MPhil, PhD, etc. But then he switched over to the HR field, and from XLRI he did the PG diploma, and has experience with different organizations like Hero Corporate Services, and I think Honeywell and others. I've shared this his file with all of the students on the WhatsApp group, and the details are there. He teaches at Tata Institute of Social Sciences also, and he's a life member of ISTD. And it's a good find to to discover that we have the expertise, the type of expertise that Mr. Das is having, with us, and we are able to bring this to the benefit of our students. So with that introduction, brief introduction, I don't really want to get into too much of details. So I welcome you. And as it says that normally we say, no, the floor is yours. So I would say now the screen is yours. So I would use a different metaphor now, right? So please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Kaushal sir. So I look forward to the next few sessions. It's very enjoyable doing these sessions, and I think what is special about the ISTD participants is that everybody is experienced, everybody is at a certain level. So it is very beneficial for me also to learn about what are the good practices in the industry, or what is being practiced in various organizations, different kind of organizations in different verticals. So I look forward to the next few sessions that we are going to have on talent management. So before I start, what I would request is, if just quickly I can get to know, the participants a little bit about you. So Arun, if you can just share 2 lines about yourself, and what has attracted you to this course, so I will understand what your key expectations are.
So thank you so much, Dipankar sir. So I work with the organization named Dhanuka Agritech Limited. So I lead the learning function for them, as you know. And now when we talk of talent management, so I'm really keen, since I'm coming from a background where I have been associated with organizations where we have really helped them to identify hypos and then worked on assessment centers, development centers in my previous assignments. So that was of really that was of real interest for me. I just want to deep dive and learn further on the same aspects. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Arun. That is very, very nice, very short and sweet, and puts things in perspective. Thank you. Somendra, you have been very quiet. So if you can share a brief introduction.
Yeah, sir. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Kaushal sir. So I am Somendra Suman. Presently, I am associated with Himalaya Baby Care. Last 4 years, I'm handling the entire North Zone training and development part. Basically with the pharma team, also modern trade and the general trade business. As far as my academics is concerned, I did MSc in organic chemistry. I was a university topper from Muzaffarpur, Bihar University. Then I pursued MBA in marketing in HRD. So I work in different areas of India. Most of the major metros I have worked, and different industries. So I work in Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, then other parts of northern India with the companies like Vocard Pharmaceutical I started with. Then I was with Cafe Coffee Day for a very long period, CCD, at Mumbai and Kolkata. Then I worked with Hindustan Unilever, heading Bihar and Jharkhand business. Then Supermax, last assignment I was with Supermax, handling their entire modern trade business, quite a long time. And February 2018, I joined Himalaya Baby Care because I always had a passion, and I believe in my family also there's a tradition of higher education and all. All are scholars in my family, so always wanted to come. My father was teacher, forefathers all. So somehow I wanted to come get into this training, and also I got an opportunity. So last year, 4 years I am with them now. Though now earlier a lot of trainers from Himalaya joined, but now a few are left after pandemic. So I'm surviving still with that. And as I keep discussing with Kausal sir, now we need as a trainer we need to do a lot of things. We need to update because as a whole industry is now very reluctant about having trainers in the especially corporate trainers. So getting into the talent management would be a very exciting field for us also. As Kausal sir also suggested, may get into the HRD kind of thing, HR. So I think talent management will help in that also. So I am looking forward to your session, and I hope this will be there will be a lot of learning, and it will be very useful for my career also. So
Okay.
welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Shomendra. That was very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Sharbari, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Sharbari Mukherjee. I'm from Kolkata chapter. I am in pharmaceutical sales last 15 years. Right now, I'm working with Cipla, and I have an inclination towards training, which let me join this course. And prior to join this industry, I was in recruitment industry. I was with the placement company. So this talent management is a very special interest area for myself. That's why I have chosen this course.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sharbari. That's nice. Okay, I have one box which says guest faculty. I am not sure the name of the participant is. So would you like to introduce yourself?
This is Manali Gupta, my colleague. Yeah,
Oh,
Manali.
okay.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, sir. I think I have joined with the phone because of some problem with my laptop.
Okay.
This is Manali here, and as Soumendra sir has very well explained the importance of talent management and how it could be useful for the people who wanted to pursue in HRD, and I think it's a initial phase to start with. So I have joined ISTD on the recommendation of Soumendra sir. He is my trainer. And I am also working with Himalaya Baby Care. It's been 5 years since when I'm working with. And I'm always, I'm right now, currently, I am working as a business development manager and looking after the Himalaya moms and baby shops, retail shops across North India. And I am responsible for training the sales promoters who are there at those shops. And Soumendra sir is helping me to getting trained in the form of soft skills, sales training for those sales promoters.
Okay, great. Thanks, Manali. Okay, Mahesh, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Mr. Dipankar Das.
Hi, Mahesh.
This is Mahesh Batra. I've spent about 2 decades in learning and development specifically.
Okay.
I'm part of Energizer as an organization, which runs and performs call center businesses across India. We've got about a couple of locations here or there. So yeah, I mean, I've been part of learning since the time I've started working, and this is like my decade 5th year with the organization. So yeah, I mean, I'm with them and managing and heading their training completely, transactional specifically.
Okay, great, Mahesh. Thanks. Last but not the least, Sonal.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Teachers'
Afternoon.
Day to all of you.
Thank you.
I'm Sonal, and my background is from defense, and I had a stint in corporate. And after my stint, or rather during the stint in corporate, I realized I must, explore the training and development domain. So that's why, as per the recommendation of someone, I decided to undertake this course from ISTD. And let's hope I want to, have a deep dive into training and development and pursue my profession henceforth.
Okay, great, Sonal. Thank you. Okay, wonderful. So, again, as I was saying that everybody is, an expert in his own way, in his own area of work. And it's really a privilege to be part of this class. So, I, while, I am the designated faculty, but many of you have come from various industries, are working in various roles, which gives you insights into the business, into talent management, which I may also learn from. So we would be learning from each other. It's not that, because I am the designated faculty, I have all the answers. I don't. And we will learn mutually. So, so before we start, getting into the course, now I would just like to ask offhand, when we hear talent management, what comes to your mind? What are the first few thoughts or few words which come to your mind when we talk about managing talent? Anyone?
Can I answer?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Talent management to me is exploring the optimum potential of a maybe outside candidate or whosoever in your organization, so that he can be suited in that particular role you are looking for.
Okay. So exploring the potential of a candidate so that he can be fitted in a certain role. Okay, wonderful. Anybody else would like to add to what Sharbari said?
So it depends on the culture of the company, corporate culture of that company, whether how they define for the talent. So many companies, they consider all their performers or who are good, who thinks their future is bright. That candidate they want to train, and they train them to become a good leader and future business leaders. So that could be the talent management. Other companies, like in Himalaya, we think all our resources are talented, because if we have hired him, there is a hiring process, and we believe in that the talent management should be done for all. So we try to give a proper training to all of them, and so they perform, they develop themselves, and ultimately they are contributing to the organization. So depending on the culture of the company, we can decide the talent management.
Okay, great, Shomendra and Sharbari. So yes, both of you are right, and I think Shomendra has put a spin to the definition of talent management by saying that it also depends on the culture of the organization. And truth be told, Shomendra, you are right that it also depends on the culture of the organization. That how do we see talent management? Do we see it as a small part of HR, or do we see it as a very critical part of the business? So it really kind of fluctuates from organization to organization. But the second definition, which I heard from Somendra, that the organization believes that everybody who comes in has to contribute, and everybody is part of the talent pipeline, and everybody has to be managed. That talent has to be managed. So so irrespective of whether you are in HR, whether you're in finance, etc., you are part of the talent pipeline. So here is, a graphic which basically talks about 7 dimensions of talent management, and it says uh, first comes with talent strategy and planning, because that is where you have a vision for how do you want your talent to be, what kind of a plan do you want to have, what sort of a strategy. Then you go on to sourcing, recruitment, performance management. That is something that you do once a year, twice a year, depending on your organization. But it's absolutely critical because people work very often for what the organization is offering them. So there is growth that is expected, there is increment that is expected. If both of them are not there, at least a recognition that is expected. So performance management is really, gets deep down into that. Then learning and development, very, very critical part, because if people are not learning on the job, they are not growing, then there is a kind of stagnancy that comes in. Along with that, also learning and development is very critical, particularly in the service sector, because everybody doesn't come in with the skill set that you need. Every organization has a X requirement in terms of skills, but when you are hiring, everybody may not really have all those skills. Or every organization, like Arun works in Dhanuka, and they have a certain culture. They have a certain, they are in the agrotech industry. So the industry, the culture, everything would have its own requirements. So it is the L&D department which ensures that people are then readied to start delivering within the ecosystem of that organization. Then succession planning, again, very, very critical. Uh, there are multiple key positions in every organization, and each key position is, of course, like it's a key position. Therefore, the impact it has on the organization is huge. And suppose you have somebody, like unfortunately we had the COVID crisis, and of course it's still going on. I'm not saying that it's gone away, it is still there. So we saw that in many large corporates, many listed companies, people lost their critical directors, and they did not know what to do, because their succession planning had not been very good. And suddenly they found that they were losing critical people. And it happened in large companies, very large companies, some of the big conglomerates. It happened, and these are because we found out why, because these are listed companies. So they had to give a declaration that ex-director unfortunately has passed away due to COVID or COVID-related issues. And who is the successor? We will take time to come back and tell you who the successor is. Why? Because our succession planning was not very robust. Next is leadership development. So, any thoughts on leadership development? What uh, do we mean by leadership development? Anyone? Anyone can take a stab at, what do we mean by leadership development?
Actually, sir, talking in terms of developing the leadership nowadays, there are managers who are just doing the micromanagement.
Mhm.
Micro, I mean MICRO, micromanagement.
Right, right.
So, looking into the larger perspective, by and large, we need leaders
Mhm.
who are just not just doing their micromanagement. They are really concerned about the future of the company, really focused about the vision and purpose of the company, and they are ready to take on the challenges, and they are creating the leaders also. Future leaders will create the leaders, follow up leaders and all. So building a capability and looking at the overall scenario where you are creating a person who is ready to lead the team.
Great. So Shomendra is right that we have managers, we have executives. Now the top part, the top layer of any organization, that is invested with large number of responsibilities, that is invested with the responsibility of driving the organization. So they are designated formally as maybe they are C-level, maybe they are directors, maybe they are various levels of seniority, but they may or may not take that responsibility which comes to them as part of that role. And sometimes it so happens that people who are maybe just managers, or maybe even assistant manager, or a deputy manager, they show a kind of ownership, a kind of responsibility, a kind of vision, strategic sense, which really helps the organization. So it is important that we formally recognize what is it that can be considered a leadership responsibility, and ensure that your key people are developed in such a way that they are able to execute at that level. They are able to understand what is the meaning of a position of responsibility, and what is it that they need to contribute to the organization. So this has become a separate vertical, a separate line of work, so to say, which is leadership development. And many organizations have a separate person within the HR or within learning and development who does leadership development. And that also comes within the purview of talent management. Any thoughts on this?
When we are talking of this talent management, it's more related to the emotional quotient or intelligent quotient.
Right. So Somendra, you are asking, is that a question about leadership development?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
nowadays in my organization also, I am seeing that it is said that that competence level you can increase and all the commitment you cannot. And so emotional quotient is very important nowadays.
Okay.
So how you relate this? Even talent management is more about this developing this emotional quotient. Emotionally, how a leader should be strong if we're coming to the leadership.
Yes. So I think that's a great question, and we would anyway be talking more about it later on. But since you've asked, it's a great question. Largely, this is where emotional intelligence kind of originated. There was a study done where a lot of people they were evaluated. So people who had passed out from some of the top colleges in the US, from Kellogg's School, from Harvard Business School, from um, uh, uh, you know uh, University of Pennsylvania, etc. So they passed out from some of these very good pedigreed colleges, and then they were tracked, how their career pans out. And it was discovered that some of them who were the most brilliant people in terms of academics, in terms of mathematics, in terms of science, in terms of systems thinking, etc., they did not do very well in life. And there were some people who were not so academically oriented or so bright, and who had not scored the best scores, but they did much better. you know so obviously the people who had been academically very bright and they had very high IQ, they could not do very well. I mean, I'm not saying everybody, but it was assumed that somebody with the highest IQ will be the most successful person. But that turned out to be wrong. That turned out to be a wrong assumption. And people with lesser IQ, but with something else, they turned out to be more successful. So that is where the idea of emotional intelligence came up, that these people who were more successful had fairly good IQ, but they were not the ones with the highest IQ, but they had an ability to connect with people. They could understand themselves better. They could understand their relationships with other people better. They could have they had better interpersonal skills. So gradually, the first uh, big book that came out on emotional intelligence was in 1995 by Daniel Goleman. And he identified this characteristic, and he said that you need to be emotionally sensitive. To grow as a leader, you need to be emotionally sensitive. And then, there has been more and more refinement on this whole idea of emotional intelligence. But basically, it is a way of being aware of other people, being aware of yourself, and being aware of how to interact with others and how to manage yourself. These are the four key characteristics of emotional intelligence. And this has gone into leadership development, because if you are very bright, you are a great engineer, you are brilliant in mathematics, your IQ is, exceptional. But if you cannot get along with people, then chances are that you will not really be successful in any organization. So, emotional intelligence has played a big role in taking leadership development further. So, does that help you?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, great. So, yes, so that is important part. Next, last but not the least, is compensation. So, how we compensate, how we, because compensation is an expression of the value that the organization puts on you. Okay. So therefore, how people are compensated, how people are recognized, how people are rewarded, all that really goes into compensation and benefits, and that also tends to be a part of talent management. So here is a nice quotation. Given the journey that talent management is on, we do seem to need new answers to new problems rather than another retrofit of past practices. So Gyan Nagpal, who's written this book, is personally, he's an ex-colleague. So I thought I would put his quotation over here. So basically, he's saying, this is actually pretty commonsensical now, that since things are changing radically, and your entire talent management has to also change radically. Because if we just carry on with the systems of the 90s and year 2000, then we will not really be very effective in managing talent. And chances are that you will lose talent. Okay. So therefore, we have to have new practices for a new age. So that is what, these are some pointers about what talent management is. So let's look at a deeper understanding as we go. So today we will be talking about an introduction to talent management, and in the next session we will be talking a little bit about strategy of talent management. But today it's really the introductory interaction. So So what is talent management? So here what we see is these are the various components: workforce planning and talent acquisition, capability development and performance, leadership and high potential development. So I think earlier when we asked Shorburi, she said that it's restricted to some people, while Somesh said that it is not, it's about everyone in Johnson and Johnson. So very often talent management is understood as the practices that you have to nurture your top talent. It's not for everybody, just your top talent. But the meaning has actually got widened, and all the things that we talked about now comes under the purview of talent management. So it is the full scope of HR processes to attract, onboard, develop, motivate, and retain high performing employees. And talent management is aimed at improving business performance through practices that make the employees more productive. Okay, so what I will do is, before I come on to this slide and we talk a little bit about this, I will divide you into few groups. And okay, is Arun there on the call? Arun, are you there from ISTD? Okay, I think Arun is not there, so we'll skip the group activity. But okay, I will just throw the, because anyway, we aren't too many of us. So from a business perspective, what are your thoughts on how does talent management contribute to the organization? Anyone? So how does it add to the bottom line or the top line of an organization, which is your revenue and your margins? Any thoughts? Anyone? It's not an examination that you will get a wrong answer. You can just share whatever comes to your mind. How does it contribute to the top line and the bottom line? Okay, so Sharbari is saying reduction of attrition. Okay, very good. And what does reduction of attrition result in? Okay, reduction of vacancy management. I like this chat coming from Sharbari. So reduction of vacancy, control of attrition. What else? Anything else? New leaders motivate others in the organization. Okay, very good. So that's falls under leadership development. So new leaders are able to motivate others. So very good. Yeah. Anything else? So I think Somendra has already shared. Sonal and Mahesh, you are very quiet.
Sorry, for me, like talent management would definitely, help us in our business revenue, because we would be getting the suitable candidates, will help them grow, will make them good leaders in coming times. So basically, our bottom line will increase when we have the right person for the right job.
Absolutely. Great. So right person for the right job, and that's what talent management ensures. Very good. Mahesh, would you like to add anything?
See, Mr. Das, talent management is an important aspect.
Mhm.
Yes, when you put maximum efforts towards to building the right people for a right job, I agree to that fundamental. However, that really I mean, there are some percentage of chances while you train somebody or and put them there, even then because your clientele is of a different view or maybe wear a different hat or a angle, there's even a possibility that you train people and they don't clear certain certifications. So for example, number of people have participated and number of people have actually enrolled for ISCD, but there's always a possibility that there are some percent of people who may not clear their certification at the right time, which will delay certain aspect.
Right. Right. Great. Thanks, Mahesh. Yep. So increasingly what is happening is, and particularly this is there in the service sector. It is there in manufacturing also, but even more in service sector. Because in the service sector, what happens is that, you do not really have assets. You do not have physical assets. You are not selling products. You are selling some service. Okay. And the quality of service and how you convince your clients about the quality of your service really depends on people, you know. So sometime in the 60s and 70s, what was happening was the nature of work started changing. Okay. And Peter Drucker, he was one of the great management gurus, and he started noticing a change that earlier people were, people, their productivity was very easy to calculate. Everybody's role was very clearly defined. The expectations from each individual was in black and white. But in the service sector, that is not so clear. And how your people operate is what really makes a difference to the company. If you have great people, then chances are that you will have great services. You will have a great customer interaction. You will make your clients happy. It all depends on the quality of people that you have. And the quality of people can be the sort of people you have hired in the beginning, or you have hired and then you have developed over the years. So therefore, uh, whatever yardstick you use, the quality of people makes a huge difference, particularly in the service sector. And as we are aware, in India, in US, the larger part of your GDP really comes from the service sector. It doesn't come from manufacturing or agriculture. Though in India, we have about 65% people who are in the agricultural sector, but you have an overwhelming percentage, about 60% of the GDP coming from service sector. And same goes for America. They have only about 4% coming from agriculture. So what we see over here is the balanced scorecard. So earlier, what has always happened is that why I have added the balanced scorecard in talent management is that earlier it has always so happened that every company is always evaluated in terms of what is their revenue, what is their EBITDA or their margin. How much margin are they working at? Is it 10%, 5%, 12%, whatever? So that used to be the defining criteria of success, and there was no other criteria. But gradually, more and more companies are realizing that that cannot be the sole criteria, or even if that is the criteria, if you just allow that to be the criteria, then no one can tell whether you are going to be surviving in the next 10 years or not. So people, just like we talked about IQ and EQ, similarly, people were looking for something that will tell them that whether they are going to survive for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and how are they going to survive? Are they going to thrive or just survive? Look at Amazon. Amazon was born, let's say, in 1995. Jeff Bezos was a very successful executive. He was working for a company, and one day he resigned and said, I want to start a book selling company which will sell books on the internet. And his father said, that what's wrong with you, Jeff? You're doing a good job, you're earning good money. Whoever has heard of buying books from the internet? What's wrong with you? And he said, no, this is what I want to do. And he goes ahead and starts Amazon. So Amazon is a platform. Amazon doesn't have, of course, now it has its own products also, but it doesn't get too much from its own products. It is more, its revenue really comes from being a world's biggest platform for buying and selling. So what the balance scorecard tells us is that basically there is life beyond financial numbers. Now, how you treat your customers, how your customers see you, that is very, very important. If your customers think that you are lousy, then your chances of survival are not very good. Next is, how does the organization learn? Because learning is equally important, innovation. So next is the internal processes. How healthy is your company? Outside, I can be earning a lot of money, but how healthy are the processes inside? So basically, there is an increasing importance of the people dimension of business. That's what I'm trying to say. That you have more and more of focus going into internal processes and innovation. Basically, the learning and your internal health of internal processes. Because along with finance, your customers need to be happy, but your customers will be happy if your internal processes are good. Your internal processes will be good if you have great practices, if you have innovation, if you have learning, within your organization. So you see how the balance scorecard, otherwise it is simply a tool to evaluate the health of a company. But this tells us that your people processes need to be very robust. They need to be very good. Okay. So any thoughts on this? Please feel free. All clear? Making sense?
So just how we define talent actually, I would like to know how we define actually talent.
Okay, so Somendra, if I may put it in a short way, talent is just the extent of human potential in your business. That is talent. What is the extent of human potential in your business? What is the quality of human potential in your business? That is talent. Okay, so talent tends to be latent. That means it is there, it has to be brought out. And we will talk a bit about engagement, motivation, and things like that, because unlike finance is based on your accounts payable, accounts receivable, your P&L account, and all the numbers are there. But talent, you can have great managers, you can have great leaders, but if your great leaders, great managers are in a negative ecosystem, then maybe that talent will not be able to thrive. So talent really is the potential of, is the process of bringing out the potential in your human resources. And how you do that, that is talent management. Is that making sense?
It is also said that as per Pareto Principle, 20-80 principle, even in the organization, even in the workforce, there are 20% people. We can consider them the talent who are contributing 80%.
Right.
Isn't it
Yes.
that way we are managing that business also?
Yes, absolutely right.
When we are managing talent, we are managing at least our 80% business. We are ensuring that our bottom line is secured, insured.
Absolutely, absolutely. See, a Pareto is always right. it is always, 80% impact is generated by the top 20% effort, or top 20% people. So that is always there. I have seen the Pareto works everywhere. But what will I do? I mean, suppose when I'm dealing with human beings, I say that, okay, I'm just going to take care of my 20%. Rest of the 80% can go to hell, or they can do whatever they feel like. Do you think that's a good HR system?
Not possible. That is not possible at all.
Yeah.
That will also impact the business. Anyway, that 20% also needs to be taken care of.
Exactly. So when you see, Pareto mathematically is always right. You know, or 90% cases it is right. I have not seen an exception so far.
In my experience, so around 20 years of experience, I have seen that it is actual happening in the organization. There are 25% people who are contributing.
Absolutely.
Others are just working to survive in the company.
Yeah, you're right. So, later on, we will see some statistics of generally 18 to 20% are actually seriously engaged in the company. The rest, 30-40% people, they are kind of, interested, but they are not like deeply engaged. And there are another 20% of a company who are disengaged, who are not interested. They just come, they log in, and then they wait for 6 o'clock, so they will log out. And whole day it is a long wait for 6 o'clock and for log out time. So that is the the bottom 10-20%. So that is how every company is. But now the challenge for a talent management professional is, how do you drive everybody to be engaged? And if everybody is engaged, then the productivity zooms up. So statistically, just American statistics, they are losing about $400 billion of productivity every year, because employees are not engaging in the work they're supposed to do. They just come, stamp the name, log in, do whatever little bit that can be done, and then go. So if you increase their engagement, you will actually get $400 billion of additional productivity. And that is the job of talent management, that can you drive that productivity? Can you drive that engagement? If you drive that engagement, productivity will happen automatically. Is it making sense?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, great. Arun, you are very quiet. I hope all good.
Yeah, all well.
Okay, great. Because I don't want my old friend Arun kind of, to have any disconnects. So Arun and I, go back many years. We have worked together before, and Arun was my client. So great. So that's why I brought in the balance scorecard, and how people processes, innovation, learning, these are as important a part of a business as revenue and customer satisfaction is. Okay. So let's look at some quotes from the big guys. So here is Jack Welch. He says that my main job was developing talent. I was a gardener providing water and other nourishment to our top 750 people. Of course, I had to pull some weeds out. So that's Jack Welch, one of the most successful CEOs, that any company has seen. So he says that his job, he used to say that I just get people who are very smart, and then I give them the space to work. So basically, I don't do anything. He used to say, I don't do anything. I just get very, very smart people, sometimes much, much smarter than me, and I give them the space to go and work. And they would deliver the brilliant results that he was known for. Okay. So that's how he understood talent management. There is Peter Drucker. I'm sorry, this text is slightly hazy, but he's saying that developing talent is business's most important task. the sine qua non of competition in a knowledge economy. So Peter Drucker was perhaps the biggest management guru, and he always talked about the knowledge economy, which is the service sector, being different from the previous manufacturing sector. And he said that the talent of the business is the most important dimension of the business. And actually, if you look at it, any service company, their real asset is the quality of the people. They have no other assets. They have no products. They have hardly any real estate, because nowadays most companies have leased properties. They don't buy properties. And their only product is basically the quality of the people. So Peter Drucker is saying that this talent is the most important dimension of a business in a knowledge economy. I hope that's making sense. Okay, so moving on, let's see how talent management, figures in various surveys. So we will use some data from Accenture and McKinsey to look at how talent management is faring, particularly in the US market. But before we do that, let's take a short look at a video which kind of gives an overview of what talent management is. If you can't hear the audio, just let me know. I think you should be able to hear, but let's. Are you able to hear the audio?
It's okay.
Yes.
Okay, great.
The definition of talent management can often be perceived as elusive. Human resource professionals themselves commonly have different definitions of talent management. That said, talent management is a set of integrated organizational human resource processes designed to attract, develop, engage, and retain productive, engaged employees. The goal of talent management is to create a high-performance, sustainable organization that meets its strategic and operational goals and objectives. While professional perspectives on talent management vary dramatically, the fact is human resource professionals do talent management on a daily basis. Let's take a look at a model that defines talent management in clear terms. This talent management model illustrates key processes to ensure organizations attract, retain, and engage talented staff. Centered on learning, the processes of recruiting, interviewing, onboarding, and selecting are all major components of talent management. The talent management model is built on the premise that we must attract, retain, and engage employees at all times through all decisions. Let's define each of these three fundamental elements of talent management. Attract. Identifying and persuading the right people at the right time for the right reasons. Engage. The extent to which employees are committed to their organization's goals and values, motivated to contribute to organizational success, and the ability at the same time to enhance their own sense of well-being. Retain. A systematic effort focused not only on retaining an organization's talented performers, but also to create and foster a welcoming work environment and high retention culture. The end result is an organization that operates more effectively and efficiently, while being a great place to work. Talent management is centered on employee learning, best accomplished through a learning organization. A learning organization is an organization that has an enhanced capacity to learn, adapt, and change. Many companies, recognizing the strategic importance of learning, have strived to become learning organizations. Training processes are carefully scrutinized and aligned with organizational goals. In a learning organization, training is seen as part of a system designed to create human capital. Recruiting is the process of finding and hiring the best qualified candidate from within or outside the organization for a job opening in a timely and cost-effective manner. The recruitment process includes analyzing the requirements of a job and attracting employees to fill that job. Interviewing, or a job interview, is a type of employment test that involves a conversation between a job applicant and a representative of the organization. Interviews are one of the most popularly used devices for selection. Normally done in face-to-face meetings, an interview involves asking a job applicant questions to determine whether the applicant is suitable for the position. Handled properly, the interview process is undertaken with deliberation and planning to accomplish the task of selecting the best person for the job. Selecting, or selection, is the process of evaluating candidates for a specific job and selecting an individual for employment based on certain criteria. Employee selection can range from a very simple process to a very complicated process depending on the organization hiring and the position. Certain employment laws, such as anti-discrimination regulations, must be obeyed during the selection process. And the final element of the talent management model, onboarding. The onboarding process acclimates new hires and ensures that they quickly feel welcomed and valued by the organization. This process enables new employees to become productive members of the organization who understand expectations and their job roles. Onboarding goes beyond traditional orientation programs, which focus mainly on managing policies, forms, and procedures.
That's a very brief overview of what talent management comprises. And at the heart, you can see is learning. So learning is what kind of keeps all of this together, and also gives talent management the edge that that really makes it more effective, because all of these are, some of these, as you can see, these are recurrent activities, but recurrent activities can be strategic, or they can be just BAU, business as usual activities. So how you make them more strategic, that is what talent management does. Okay. So any thoughts on the video, any observations, any comments?
So I was believing that talent management is all about our existing employee, but this model is entirely different. So it's very new for me.
Sorry, just say that again. I didn't hear you.
Sir, as per my understanding, talent management was all about the existing employee who are performing. But here it's a different perspective where you are saying that it's all about the from recruitment, interviewing, then selection and onboarding process.
Yeah, so we will, it is not only about existing employees, that is one part, but it is also, and we will talk more about this, in terms of recruiting and onboarding, etc. Why I'm saying so? This is not regular recruiting, regular onboarding. Like this video said that not onboarding as in telling them about policies, procedures, company history, not that kind of onboarding, but a different kind of onboarding, which we will be talking about, because that will be aligned to your competency framework. Okay, so we will talk about a competency framework, and your recruitment, interviewing, selecting, onboarding, all of that is linked to that particular framework. And that framework really focuses more on the existing employees. In that, you're right, that this focuses more on existing employees. But you would appreciate that I am trying to improve my existing employees, but I am not caring for the people who are being hired. Wouldn't that be a disaster? So I have to care about how we are onboarding, hiring, recruiting, interviewing people at an entry level also. Also not the focus, but also, while the main focus is on, how do I develop the talent within the organization? Making sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Great.
have a query.
Yeah, please.
So is it like it holds good for hiring and like retaining and developing employees at any level across the organization? So it can be the driver, peon. So they all come, they would also like their recruitment and the strategies would fall in talent management, or those who are directly linked to performance.
So good question, Sonal. And earlier uh, we were talking about the Pareto principle. Now, here also a little bit of Pareto comes in the sense that we will focus 80% of talent management focus is on key positions, not on the regular positions, like in a manufacturing setup, the workers or the foreman who's doing the regular thing, which is completely schedule based. So
The technicians,
yeah,
mechanics.
the technicians,
Okay,
mechanics. So
got it.
yeah, we will not really be focusing that much on them. However, we will ensure that at least the hygiene is there. You know,
Fine.
while our greater focus is going to be on the managers, on the leaders, on the people who are in the succession pipeline. So 80% of the focus will be there.
Like say for example, in like suppose I had an experience in automobile dealership. So there, even right from the peon to the driver has a very big impact while dealing with customer because they are also the contact points. So I need to have the right person there also.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying that. So the hiring specifications, onboarding, how they are recruited, all that also counts. That makes a difference.
Right. Fine. Thank you.
Sure.
So,
Thank
sir, typically what we are trying to say, it's criticality of the role. Is that what you're trying to say?
Right. So the more critical the role is, the higher the focus of talent management will be on it. Okay. But at the same time, you need to have certain hygiene parameters for every other thing. You cannot say that, like Sonal rightly observed, even a driver makes a big difference, because the customer, he's a customer interface. So, but at the same time, I will not really spend my energy on, making the driver a brilliant strategist. I will not be doing that. I will be focusing more on my head of departments. I will be focusing more on, the key guys who are likely to succeed the head of departments. So I will be focusing and spending my energy on those guys. However, I will have a set of specifications for everybody. Make sense?
Right. Thank you. Got it.
Okay, great. So moving on, let's see how TM is faring in the industry, and let's look at some statistics. So uh, so senior leaders, value talent, but there is very limited alignment with business strategy. This is very unfortunate that talent strategy and business strategy very often don't go hand in hand. And so consistent execution and integration of talent practices continues to fall short, and organizations are building stronger employment brands as part of their talent strategy. So they are, their organizations are working on this. They are trying to build, stronger employment brands as part of talent strategy. And you would be familiar with. You can just go to YouTube and search what does Google do, and you can see the Google campus. You will be amazed. I mean, it's more fun working in a Google campus than in a five-star hotel because it's so brilliantly done. So more and more companies are trying to create a brand that if you come and work for me, you will be a happy person. You can expect growth, you can expect opportunity, you can expect lot of things. So that is happening, but unfortunately, the connect between the business strategy and the people strategy, that is not very strong. That is still very weak. Uh, I worked for an engineering company once, and I remember the HR head, the CHRO, used to sit with the managing director, and the only contribution that HR head made to the strategic discussions that would take place, that next year we plan to do this, we plan to do that, we plan to get into new projects, we plan to expand in Africa, we plan to get more sophisticated equipment from Austria and Germany. So we want to do all that. Now the only time the managing director would turn to the HR head would be that, okay, I will need 1,000 more people next year. Can you hire 1,000 250 every quarter. Can you hire that? And he would say yes or no. And so basically, talent acquisition was the only place where they talked to each other. Whereas ideally, they should have gone one level deeper and looked at, if next year we are going to hire 1,000 people, what kind of people are they going to be? Are they going to be project managers? Are they going to be engineers? Are they going to be workers? What kind of a skill set would I need? How would they align with our existing projects and the projects that we have in the pipeline? Then we would need people in business development, because I'm trying to expand my revenue. I would need people in finance because I would have a larger portfolio. So and so forth. So that alignment between business strategy and people strategy, that needs to go hand in hand. So let's look at some of the numbers. So here you can see that degree of alignment and integration of workforce strategy with business strategy. So 4%, zero. 4% has absolutely no connect. 38% says that to some degree they have a connect. 40% to a considerable degree. And only 17% say that we have a consistent strategy across the organization, which links the people strategy to the business strategy. So that's how it is. And so therefore, all we can say is that there is huge room for improvement if we are going to align our people strategy and business strategy. And you as ambassadors of this program, maybe you should also go back to your organizations and suggest that how are we planning our people strategy, and that has to have 100% alignment to the business priorities. Okay, so moving on, workplace planning and talent acquisition. So some observations. So workplace planning in most companies is unfortunately short-term focused, while some companies are gradually becoming more strategic. Talent acquisition fundamentals are in place, but there is plenty of room for improvement. And despite challenges, most companies report being able to attract the talent they need. So three things, I think, in terms of planning, it is unfortunately largely short-term. Talent acquisition, fundamentals are in place, which means that at least I'm able to identify talent well, I'm able to screen talent well, but there is still room for significant improvement. And despite challenges, most companies are able to report being able to attract the talent they need. So this is one big factor. On and off, currently, of course, because of COVID, the situation is bad, and there are more people looking for opportunities than opportunities looking for people. But at a time when early year 2000, 2001 to 2010, every person had so many job offers. The economy was going good, and people had more than one offer. So it was a good situation to be in. So let's look at some of these numbers. So if I start from the bottom, you have so forecasting supply and demand for skills years in advance. That is what this talks about. So if I look at the bottom, non-critical, non-management, more than 5 years, only 2%. And largely you have people 1 to 2 years, so critical non-management roles, you have a kind of pipeline for 1 to 2 years, and 29% has no forecast at all. They have zero forecast. They don't plan at all. Whenever there is a vacancy, they immediately go out and look for somebody. While 25% has less than 1 year, which is again not very good. Then you have frontline management, managers, supervisors, or equivalent, and you have 24%, which has no forecast, which is very risky. I hope you are appreciating the element of risk involved over here. You have absolutely no planning. You have no pipeline for the people you are going to hire, even for less than 1 year. Even that is not there. That means it's absolutely real time. Today somebody resigns and you start looking, oh, I need a manager, so and so has left, I need a manager. So that is very, very risky. It is not simply in terms of planning, bad planning, HR strategy. Not just that, you are risking your entire business, because as we were saying, in service sector, people management, people are your biggest assets. And if key positions go empty, then the organization is not going to be effective, and the chances of that organization meeting its revenue targets going to be that much lesser. For example, you think of the head of business development. Suppose she resigns and goes away. So what do? If you are in that 24% or 21%, which has absolutely no planning, then what do? Or if I, let's say, top executive talent on top, 19% has no forecast, 11% has less than 1 year, and these are top positions, top executive positions. So and you have absolutely 30%. Look at this, 30% have less than 1 year or no forecast at all. So you are risking the entire business. So this is really, really risky, and it's very worrying. And this is about largely the US labor market. Imagine how good or bad we are doing in India. So these are things which are need to be looked at. Any organization, not only from doing very well, but even from basic operational capability, these positions should not lie vacant. Look at senior management, SVP, VP, director, or equivalent. You have 18% of the companies which have no forecast, 14% which has about less than 1 year. So you have 32%. And then again, 34%, which is about less than 2 years. So 32, 34, that is like what? About 64, 66%, which is, has less than 2 years forecast for such critical senior management positions. And only 5% has a more than a 5 year, oversight into how this position can be ensured that this position is never vacant. So these are some of the figures, worrying figures. HR of all organizations of all verticals, HR heads need to worry when they see these numbers. Any thoughts that come to your mind? Anyone?
The source, what is the source of this data? You said it's a US market data.
Yeah, this is taken from a McKinsey survey.
So McKinsey. Okay. So what could be the reason, sir, why it's happening? Even at the top level, 19% there is no forecast. What could be?
Yeah, the reason, how I foresee is that unfortunately, like we saw, the balance scorecard, focuses, was a process which came about to ensure that we just don't simply focus on revenue and finance. We have to focus on HR also, human processes also. But the biggest reason is that most organizations are not very serious about talent management. They are more focused on, revenue, operations, sales, but not on people process. If you sit in any CEO level review, what you will see is if it's a 1 hour review, he or she will focus for about 50 minutes on finance, and then 5 to 10 minutes on HR, admin, and other things. So finance and sales will be about 80% of the revenue. Am I right or wrong?
Right, sir.
Absolutely. So that is the biggest reason why we are not able to plan for talent properly, and it is
proper talent management system.
Sorry.
There is no proper talent management
system.
system.
Yes, absolutely. There is no proper talent management system. It is taken very lightly, and it can actually put a business at risk. So, so that is, the answer to your question. So, moving on.
Just for the information, sir. Just for the information. Do companies have this talent management team, separate talent management department or team like that?
Yes, Somendra, most companies, of course, have the HR team, which takes care of talent management, but uh, some companies within HR, they segregate talent management, and typically learning and development is a part of talent management. Nowadays, learning and development and leadership development is also part of talent management. So they are segregated as talent management. And sometimes there is no L&D position. There is no learning and development manager. The whole position is designated as talent management position. So learning and development comes under talent management.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sure. Next is leadership and management accountability. So there is lack of capability for workforce development, and select organizations directly tackle capability development challenges. And reward differentiation is still more of a concept than a reality. So these are again, like we saw compensation is a part of TM. So, how you do reward differentiation, how you give incentives, how you give increments, how you, do salary benchmarking, all of that is part of this. So, if you look at the manager level, so managers accountable for developing their direct reports through performance management process, you have 18% not at all, and 49 to some degree. While senior executives who should ideally be more interested in developing their talent, like you saw the quotation from Jack Welch, he said that I just take care of 700 people, and they take care of the business. So only 19% and 44%. Uh, uh, so 19 and 44% actually either don't have any talent management perspective, or only to some extent. So that is again very, very risky. So it's almost like 63% have, they don't have an approach for talent management. And that really also answers your previous question. So, so moving on. So this is leadership and high potential development. As we were discussing earlier, that leadership and high pot development has become a separate entity. And here you can see that uh, you know some significant progress has been made in building leadership capability. So more and more organizations are getting down to creating a leadership pipeline. They are developing leadership models. They are developing uh, interventions around leadership models. So you have, if you look at the top, senior leaders are viewed as corporate assets versus business unit or geographic assets. So 73% agree that senior leaders are corporate assets. Our CEO and board of directors are actively involved in leadership development activities. So 60% said yes to that, which is very good, which is healthy. That the CEO and the board of directors are actually involved in developing leadership and talent. And the third point is our organization's leaders teach and develop new leaders. So 64% said yes to that. So that's again fairly good. I'm sure you would have come across many organizations where the leadership takes personal responsibility in developing talent. I used to work in a company called Genpact. So I was basically, it used to be GE Capital at that time, but while I was leaving, it became Genpact, and the head of that company at that time was a gentleman called Pramod Bhasin, and he personally used to come and meet all the managers and above, all the managers and above till senior VP level who joined the company. They would all be invited together, and he would personally come and meet them, because his commitment to welcoming the top talent, welcoming the senior people was very high. And he personally would make it a point to be there, whether it involved traveling to Hyderabad or meeting them in Gurgaon, that didn't matter. So he would, take those pains and make that effort. So, but that's rare. In most organizations, you don't see so much effort coming from the leadership. But the more the effort, the better your talent pipeline is handled. Okay. So here, basically, we see some talent analytics. So these are percentages, but please don't expect that these are just standalone percentages. Okay. So learning and development spent per employee, that's how many companies are capturing that. So you have 49% of the companies who are capturing that data. L&D hours per employee, 48% of the companies capturing that data. Participation rate in developmental activities, is 46%. Percentage of employees with critical skills, only 24%. It's worrying. Internal promotion rate, 56% have internal promotion strategies. Succession planning, pipeline depth, 37% have some depth. And percentage job openings filled from succession pool is 33%. So these are, some talent analytics which tell you that how deep the talent management system is in various organizations, and how effectively succession planning is done. So that is, again, as I mentioned earlier, this is a key dimension of talent management, and we will talk more about that later. But so these are some talent analytics that we see. So this gives you a fair idea in terms of where talent management is, how it is faring in the industry, and uh, you know how deeply it has penetrated the industry, particularly in developed economies. So not very encouraging if you see the numbers, but also the good story is that therefore there is much that we can do as L&D professionals, as talent management professionals. So, having said that, that brings me to the close of this particular introductory session. Any questions anybody has?
It was very nice session, sir. Nice, very nice session.
Sure.
I'm very delighted. We're looking
Great.
forward to your next sessions.
Thank you, Samendra.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Just one thought. While we spoke about scorecards and everything.
Mhm.
I read somewhere in the recent past that organizations are moving away from scorecards, especially at the leadership level.
Mhm.
So, any thoughts on this you would have?
So, Arun, which scorecard are you referring to? Is it
The balanced scorecard approach, which we were referring in the previous
okay?
slides.
Okay. So, see, I have used the balanced scorecard only to drive home a particular point, which is that finance is not everything. More and more businesses are understanding that there are other dimensions of the business which need to be taken care of. So I am nowhere suggesting that balanced scorecard is the best tool to have, or it's the most comprehensive tool, but it is definitely a tool which has brought in more intelligence, more insight along with the tool. I think this tool was in 1991 or 1992. It came about. So that's really the use of the tool. But yes, companies are free to move out and use less of it, and hopefully there are some more effective tools. But basically, it just gives us a more rounded understanding of a business. That's
Thanks. Thank you so much. Yeah.
sure. Okay, great. So Sharbari, Sonal, any questions?
No, thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful and enriching session. More to come, so I may have queries later, but not now.
Okay, great. Okay, Somendra, Arun, Sonal, Sharbari, and Manali, Arun, and ISPD faculty, thank you. So
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
very nice interacting with all of you. Have a great evening and a great week ahead, and we will connect again same time next week. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.